Gute Woche. The Rebbe Zilchus began to Farbrengen this afternoon that there are some times when we are at a certain occasion and we have to search for a lesson as far as Maaseh B'Poyel, what we should derive from it. However, in the situation we are in today, we do not have to search far. It is extremely obvious. We just benched Rosh Chodesh, and we benched the month of Shvat, which is the 10th of the month, counting from Nisan. And in the month of Shvat, we have the day, which is the 10th in Shvat, the day of Yud Shvat. And regarding Eser, regarding the number of 10, we know the expression in Chumash, Asiri Yeh Kodesh, that there's a sanctity, there's a Kedusha in the number of 10. So Mamela, when we are talking about entering the 10th month, it's obvious the lesson, the Maaseh B'Poyel, what we have to excel in as we are entering this special month, and especially that the Rosh Chodesh of this month is going to come out on Shabbos. As was already stressed many times this year, like the year began on a Shabbos, the beginning of the year Rosh Hashanah was on a Shabbos, the Rosh Chodesh of the entire year, the head of the Rosh Hashanah actually was on Shabbos. And now we will have this Rosh Chodesh Shvat, we will also have on Shabbos. The number of 10, the Rebbe continued, also relates to Geula. And we find it very obvious in several matters. First of all, when Mashiach will come, and everybody will have to be sprinkled with the Parah Aduma, as it's explained in Chazal, this Parah Aduma which will be used and will be made by Mashiach, that is the 10th in the series of Parah Adumas. The first one was made by Moshe Rabbeinu. And in fact, as it's brought out in Chazal, that each one of the Parah Adumas has still a mixture in it from the very first one which was made by Moshe. But the 10th Parah Aduma will be made when Mashiach will come. Well, you also find what Chazal tell us based on the pasuk Oz Yoshir Moshe of Bnei Yisrael. And Yoshir is not only does it mean a past expression, but it's also a future expression. And as Chazal stress, Shor loy ne'emar elo Yoshir. It does not say in the pasuk Oz Shor Moshe. Shor would be only an expression of the past, but it says Oz Yoshir Moshe, which lends itself to be translated for the past as well as for the future. And from here Chazal derive that there will be another Shira which will be led by Moshe, and that will be by Trias HaMeisef. And as it's explained in Chazal, that is the 10th Shira which is mentioned in Torah. In Torah, Nevi'im, Miksuvim, that is the 10th of the songs of the Shiros. So again we have how the number of 10 relates to Geula. Especially as it was explained in the Farbrengen of last Shabbos regarding Yaakov Avinu, Vayechi Yaakov. So the Rebbe brought out that Yaakov consists of the word Yud Okev. Yud referring to the Rebishter. What's the Taich Okev? Okev means a heel. What is the Avodah of a Yid? Every Yid. It's brought out in Chassidus that Yaakov was the source of all of the Neshamas, and therefore every Neshama has a Shaykhs to Yaakov. So Chassidus explains, the Avodah of a Yid is to be Megale, to reveal the Yud, to reveal Getlachkeit. To reveal Getlachkeit in all parts of the world, to the furthest point, to the Okev, to the heel. Just like the heel is the furthest point in the person's body. The same when we are talking in spiritual sense. In Ruchnias, the Avodah V'Yid is that the Yud should permeate all parts of the world until it reaches the Okev. And this is the Avodah of the Asiri Yeh Kodesh. This is our Avodah when we are approaching the 10th month. We all know how the entire existence of the world and how the world functions, as the Alter Rebbe explains at length in the beginning of Shara Yichud V'Emunah is only because the Rebishter is constantly giving chayis into the world. He's mahavel machayi the world, so that's how the world can exist. So there's the Dvar Hashem, which is in the world. There's the koyach of everything, which is created in the world, the strength of everything, and the source of everything is from Getlichkeit. However it is revealed, it is in Golas. What is the Aveda of Asiri Yia Kodesh? To reveal the godliness that is in the world, to take this Getlichkeit out of Golas. This Getlichkeit is in Golas in the world. In other words, what's the pshat it's in Golas? If it cannot be seen, and it cannot be felt, and people are not aware of it, and not everybody sees it, that's the taich, it's in Golas. What will be when Mashiach will come? When Mashiach will come, we all know what the Rambam explains, that then the world will be Umala Haaretz Deis Hashem. The world will be full with wisdom of the Rebishter. Then everybody will realize, as the Rambam says at the beginning of the Sefer, how everything is taken from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You say that everything comes, you say this, the pillar of all wisdom and the foundation of all wisdom is that everything is created from the Rebishter, from the essence of his being, from the essence of his existence. However, we do not feel it. We do not see it. It's in Golas. What's the Aveda of a Yid when we are approaching Chodesh HaAsiri? Hasiri Yia Kodesh, to bring out the Kedusha in Welt and reveal the Getlichkeit that is in Welt. Memela, we will to take this Getlichkeit out of Golas, it should be in Geula, to be Goyel, to take out of exile this, to redeem this Getlichkeit, and then we will be able to come to the ultimate stage of Geula, then we will have the 10th Paraduma, then we will have the 10th of songs, Oz Yashir Moshe Bnei Yisrael, which all of this is leading to Geula, especially that we are in Shabbos. Shabbos Mevochim. And all of this is spoken in this place, and the gathering is taking place in this place, which is a house of Torah, Tefillah, Tzedakah, from the Frierdiker Rebbe yet, from the Sidarenu, as the Rebbe refers to it. Especially after we have benched Rosh Chodesh already, and in the text of benching Rosh Chodesh there are 6 expressions of Vinyanim which we are asking for, and as it's brought out in Svarim, that these 6 expressions relate to the 6 months of the winter and to the 6 months of the summer. Especially as we conclude Yeshua v'Nechama, we're asking the Rebishter for Yeshua v'Nechama. What's the real Yeshua? The real Yeshua is to be out of Golas. And what is the real Nechama? The real Nechama is also the condolence. What's the pshat, the condolence? On the Churban Beis HaMikdash. What is the real Nechama on the Churban Beis HaMikdash? The real and true Nechama is when we have Geula, when we no longer are lacking the fact that we do not have the Beis HaMikdash. That is the real Nechama. Memela, all of this should lead us to Geula, and especially as we conclude Birchas HaChodesh, v'noimar Amen. What is Amen? Amen is the gematria, the numeric value of Amen, is the same total as the Rebishter's names Shem Havaye, Yudke Vovke, plus Adnai, equals Amen. Or furthermore, as the Alter Rebbe explains, that Amen is an abbreviation, Keil Melech Nema. Again, the same idea, to reveal the Getlichkeit that is in the Welt, and that created the world, and to reveal all of this, and by revealing all of this, we take this Getlichkeit out of Galus, and this leads to Geula. We concluded that especially tonight is Chavdala Tevis, and this is the day of Yortzeit of the Alter Rebbe. And it is known that the Alter Rebbe is called the Baal HaTanya, the author of the Tanya and the Shulchan Aruch, and he's called with this title, Sai by those who are Chassidim, and Sai by those who are as yet not Chassidim. And the Alter Rebbe was the Pesach, the one that paskens Sai and Nigla the Torah, Sai and Pnimis HaTorah, especially the Tanya that he wrote, as the Alter Rebbe himself writes on the cover page of the Tanya, that the Tanya is written in order that we should be able to fulfill the pasuk Kikarei ve'lecha hadava me'oid beficha bilvavcha lasoise, how a yid should be able to get close to the Eibishter. And especially after we read in the Torah today ve'elish mois b'nei Yisrael, and we continued Ru'uvein v'Shimon, and mentioned last week already. We mentioned it today again. What's the Taich Reuven v'Shimon? Reuven and Shimon. Reuven relates to Re'iyah, to vision. Shimon relates to Shmiya, to hearing. And as it's brought out in Chassidus, these are two levels of serving the Rebishter. There's a level of serving the Rebishter which is considered Re'iyah. And there are advantages in both. There's an advantage in Re'iyah and there's an advantage in Shmiya. When one sees something, Chassidus stresses, Re'iyah is a hisamtus. Then it can never be denied by the person something that he saw. On the other hand, Shmiya is something when one hears something and he hears it in bits and in pieces. This is when it really gets into him and it really penetrates into the pnimius of a person. So there's an advantage in Shmiya and there's an advantage in Riyah. Until we come to a yet higher level, to the level of the Sedra which we began to read today by Mincha, which we're going to learn during the forthcoming week, Va'era der Rebishter ba'weis sich, that we envision HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we also had another introduction with the fact that we are coming from this Wednesday. Wednesday, based on what Chazal tell us, Misha Tarach be'erev Shabbos Yechol b'Shabbos, the one that prepares before Shabbos has what to eat on Shabbos. And this Wednesday was Chav Tevis. It was the day of the Yortzeit of the Rambam, which is also a special day. Here the Rebbe implied the expression B'yom HaRevi on Wednesday, Nitlu HaMa'oros. Now, this is an expression which originates, there's an expression in Chazal, B'yom HaRevi on Wednesday, Nitlu HaMa'oros, Nitlu with a tough. Nitlu with a tough means that what brings light to the world was affixed on Wednesday. It was set on Wednesday. Nitlu with a tes means taken away. Here we are implying it with a tes. B'yom HaRevi on Wednesday, Nitlu HaMa'oros is the one who brings light to the world. Who brings light to the world? We're talking here about the Rambam. Was taken away from us on the day of Chav Tevis. But again, this is also the fact that before Shabbos we had this special day of the Yortzeit of the Rambam. And from Shabbos we are going into the special day of Chav Dalet Tevis, which is the Yortzeit of the Alter Rebbe. So all these things are enhancing the Aveda of Asiri Yeh Kodesh. The Rebbe continued. We're talking about doing in Yonim L'Poyel, bringing down everything into deed, into action. And especially regarding tonight, which is the day of Yortzeit of the Alter Rebbe. And we all know how the Alter Rebbe in Igeras HaKodesh emphasizes the greatness and the importance of giving tzedakah. So therefore it's definitely the most appropriate time to increase in giving of tzedakah. And also in the learning of Torah. And we're talking about learning of Torah in the Torah of the Alter Rebbe. And as mentioned earlier, the Alter Rebbe was considered a Pesach, the one who pasked in Nigla the Torah, as well as in Pnimius HaTorah. So to learn the Torahs of the Alter Rebbe, and here the Rebbe went on to explain that right away at the beginning of the Aseres HaDibros we find the expression Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. And Anoichi is explained in Chazal, abbreviates Ano Nafshi Ksavis Yehovis, that the Rebishter said, I Hashem, the Rebishter, his soul, my soul, the soul of the Rebishter, was written into Torah and was given away in Torah. So when we learn Torah, we actually are having access to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzadikim doimim l'bayram. Tzadikim are compared to their master, to their creator. So Memelo, when the Tzadikim wrote their Svarim, it is also in a way of Anon Nafshi Ksovis Yehovis. So when we learn the Torah of the Alter Rebbe, we have the Alter Rebbe, especially when we're talking about the Alter Rebbe, who was the founder of Torah's Chassidus Chabad, and he was the one who was the Memali Mokim for the leadership of the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid. And this was filled by the Alter Rebbe. And all of this is brought out in the name of the Alter Rebbe as well, in his name. The Alter Rebbe's name was Shneyer Zalman. So Shneyer, we know, is compiled of two words. Shnei Oyer. A double illumination. And the Alter Rebbe was called this way because the Alter Rebbe illuminated the world in both aspects. Sayin Nigla the Torah and Sayin Pnimius HaTorah, as we mentioned earlier. But this is not enough. His name was also Zalman. Zalman is the same letters as the word Lizman. What's the pshat? Lizman. Lizman means Zman, time. Zman and Mokim, the limitations of Gashmias. In other words, what did the Alter Rebbe accomplish? That this giant illuminator that he was, how he illuminated the world in both aspects, the double illumination and Nigla and Ichsidis, all of this is to come down into Zman HaMokim, into this world, as we spoke earlier, that the intent of all this is to be Megala, to reveal Elikus in this world. As we spoke earlier, the concept of Yud Okev, or the concept of Asiri Yeh Kodesh, it's all the same idea, that this oil should be nimshach, should come down and should be revealed to instill and to permeate every part and parcel of Gashmias with this Getlichkeit, with this Elikus, and to reveal the Getlichkeit that is in Gashmias. As we find also by other Rabbeim, whose name was Doiv Ber, which was Said the Mittel Rebbe, and the Rebbe Rashab, whose name was also Shalom Doiv Ber. Rebbe says that we find by the Rabbeim that sometimes they would sign their name Doiv Ber, Doiv a separate word, and Ber a separate word. Sometimes they would combine it and would sign it Duber, even one base, and this one word would bring out the combination of the two names. Was meint das? Doiv is Lashon Kodesh. Ber is already in Yiddish. What's the taich? Whether we write it in two words or we write it in one word. It is one name. But when it's written in two words, here it does not as yet show the Farbund, the tie between Kodesh, between holiness, sanctity, and the world. When it's written in one word, then, in fact, we even save the letter Beis, then it's putting much more emphasis on the combination of Kedusha, of Heiligkeit, Lashon HaKodesh, and this Kashmiristic world. And the one that took over the leadership from Rebbe Rashab, whose name was also Doiv Ber, Shalom Doiv Ber, was the Friedeke Rebbe. And in the Friedeke Rebbe's name we also find, his name was Yosef Yitzchak, so we find that the name Yosef, as the Rebbe always brings out, just like when Yosef was named Yosef, we find in the Torah, why was he given this name? Because Yosef Hashem li bein acher. That is what Rachel said. And how does the Tzemach Tzedek teach? Tzemach Tzedek teaches this pasuk, that the avodah is that from the one who is in the level of an acher, that to bring him, that he should be obvious how he too can be a bein to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yosef Hashem li bein acher. Add on to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that it should be envisioned that even the one who's, what's the touch of acher? Acher means he's an outsider. His relationship and tie to the Rebishter is not seen. It is not obvious yet. What is the avodah of Yosef? To reach out even to such Yidden and reveal in such Yidden that they should feel and act as they too are bonim, are sons of the Rebishter. And this comes together with Yitzchak. What does Yitzchak emphasize? Schoik, laughter, simcha. In other words, this entire avodah has to be done amidst simcha. Concluded that through this Avodah, all of this should lead, as the Rambam writes, that one act, one deed of a person can be so effective that even one act of a person can lead to a Yeshua v'Hatzalah, could have a rescue and could have an effect on the entire world. And the Rebbe again, towards the end of the Farbrengen, again urged very strongly on the importance of learning the Torah of the Alter Rebbe in this day. Rebbe said that there was once a custom by Chassidim, by Tmimim, by Chassidim, that before davening, before saying Matoivu, they would learn a Perek Tanya. Somehow, this custom is not as popular anymore. But this is something which is extremely advisable. Rebbe says there were various ways of doing it, whether they would learn special prakim in Tanya, or they would learn it in order every day a different perik, or this would apply only to the first part of Tanya, or to all parts of Tanya. But regardless, this custom of learning a perik Tanya before we start the Dam, which is a thing of very great importance. Again, the Rebbe urged to make Farbrengens, Chassidische Farbrengens, and to utilize this day, the day of Chavdal Teves, in the proper way, and in the ideal way, the suitable way for this day, to be Meisef and Teirah, and to be Meisef and Stalker, and then we will reach to the level of Eira, of Va'eira, to be able to be Zeicha, to envision HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as we find in the Teirah continues, Va'eira, the Rebbe says, Va'eira, Ela Avraham, Yitzchak, V'Yankov, U'Shmi Hashem, Loinoi Daiti Lahem. Then he did not identify himself to them with the Shem Havaya. But to us now, after Matan Torah and after all the inyanim which we have gone through, now we could be Zeicha to V'Eira, to envision HaKadosh Baruch Hu and U'Shmi Hashem, and to see the Rebbe on a level of Shem Hashem, also to be revealed to every Yid through the merit of this Avodah.